Good evening, everyone. Happy Friday Eve. Today is the official last day of February 2024, my birthday month. I want to thank all of you all who have inboxed me throughout this entire month and commented on anything I had going on to wish me a happy birthday and happy birthday to any other February babies out there celebrating. Tomorrow is officially the first day of March. Can you believe it? We are going to be like one third of the way into this 2024 year. So, this is Nessp at Night, and I'm your host, Sonja Pearson, host of all things football and prim and proper sports. But tonight I'm here on my regular platform. Shout out to the Roku Sports channel, Northeast Streaming Sports, Mac and Linda over there. Download that app so that you too can be in the know when sports news breaks. It's 24/7. And come on in, say hello, share this stream. It's definitely great to be here with you all. You see, I'm here solo tonight. That is on purpose. Let me start out with the breaking news out of Iowa. Caitlin Clark, you guys, is foregoing her final year with Iowa and going to be declaring for the WNBA draft. Now, everyone remembers Kate from her rise to fame last year in the playoffs and all that. And they've had a few articles about Kate dating Mr. McCaffrey, who is another basketball star. His dad, Fred McCaffrey, is a coach on another team. But today the news came out that Miss Caitlin is going to be declaring for the WNBA draft. So that is exciting news. Congratulations to her. Kudos to her and all that big stuff. And hello to Erlene. Good evening out of Richmond, Virginia. Erlene, my sister there. Hi to Erlene and hi to everyone that is coming on. All right, y'all. We have a lot of different type of sports news coming on tonight, but the second major news that came out today is from LeBron James beating a deficit of 40 points against the LA Clippers to come back and win that game, even though they were down 40 points. Can you believe LeBron James put up preferably, or arguably, I should say, his biggest comeback in his career, 40-point deficit with the Clippers, and he's quoted saying it's not over until the buzzer sounds. LeBron James and company getting it done over the LA Clippers. So kudos to LeBron showing that he still has it. And kudos to all of you. I'm going to say hello to everyone on every platform right now so that you all will be all set up. Now, let's move along to the next news here. Looks like we got a little bit of technical difficulties with StreamYard, but hopefully those air out pretty quickly here. All right. More NBA news coming in. LeBron single-handedly, like I said, outscores the Clippers in the fourth quarter as the Lakers come back and win that game. That's a big win for LeBron. Just when you think you can count him out, he's saying, hey, guys, I'm not as old as you think I am yet. And I have a lot of basketball still left to be played. So congratulations to him. Joel Embiid is saying despite what the 76ers look like, coming up in the postseason when they get to the playoffs, if he's feeling like he needs to be feeling, he may try to come back and make a run for it. Can you believe that? And so seems like we thought that he was going to be out about 65 games. Looks like Joel is saying he's not going to need that many games to come back and recuperate. So we'll see just how that goes coming out. Baseball news real quick. Congratulations to Shohei Ohtani. He just announced, unbeknownst to his team and everybody else, that he has just gotten married. So congratulations to Shohei. I'm sure that they will fare well, and that's big news out of MLB. Now, y'all know my niche is always NFL, so let me talk about some NFL news today. We've talked about Justin Fields all week, and the pot continues to be stirred because Justin's manager now has gone on social media, put this meme, this emoji, whatever you have, and has a jumping gentleman saying, are you ready to go home? Now, for anyone who doesn't know, Justin Fields is from the Atlanta, Georgia area. He's from a suburb called Kennesaw and still considered Metro Atlanta. And so there's been some hype around him coming to the Falcons for quite some time. And this seems to be all coming to a head. So we may see Justin Fields back in Atlanta after all. And speaking of teams who need a change, or players, I should say, who need a change, I'm going to talk about all 32 teams briefly here, specific players who may be exhausting their time with that specific lead, and it may be time for them to move on. The Buffalo Bills, Trent Sherfield, the wide receiver, came in on a 1-year deal last year with the receiver coming off of a career year with the Dolphins. He had 30 receptions while with them and 417 yards and 2 touchdowns. But despite him being in a very crowded, not so crowded wide receiver room, his opportunities were actually limited. He was not able to showcase what he showed in Miami once he got to Buffalo. So with that being said, it may just be time for him to move on. The Miami Dolphins, Jeff Wilson Jr., the running back, we don't hear too much from Jeff. In fact, unless you're a Dolphins fan, you probably don't even know who he is. But he was an effective runner who might be the odd man out in the Dolphins running back room. The emergence of A-Chain, he really blew up in that role for Miami, took the obvious back seat for him and Raheem Mostert. So in 2024, just expect to see Jeff Wilson possibly bowing out of there. He has 1 more year remaining on his contract. And if the Dolphins move him from their roster, they will save $3 million if they decide to part ways with him. New England Patriots, Mac Jones, that's a big name. And Patriots fans have been talking about that for a while. Their quarterback is not the answer for for New England. They have piddled around with that for quite a while. In fact, just last night, I had TGI Sports, Keith Engel on here, who is a diehard Pats fan, and we talked about that briefly. It's time for Mac Jones to possibly move on. New England's still trying to find their replacement for Tom Brady and now Bill Belichick. It isn't out of the question that Jones could revive his career in New England if given another opportunity, but this would only be the opportunity under first-year coach Jared Mayo. So the Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa, he came back to life under Mike McDaniel in 2022, but we just don't know if Mac has what it takes to come back in this next year. Similar to the 49ers receiving a 4th-round pick from the Cowboys in a trade for quarterback Trey Lance, the expectation is that Jones would have value if he's moved elsewhere. So whether or not the Patriots actually do that depends on whether they sign a veteran free agent or select a quarterback in the draft. So that's going to be one to definitely watch. The New York Jets, talking about quarterbacks. Yesterday, the New York Jets gave permission to Zach Wilson to go ahead and seek a trade. The Jets-Wilson marriage, which began in 2021, was short-lived. He was the number 2 pick in the draft, and for all indications, it appears to be over. You all know it was really over with when they signed Aaron Rodgers, but because Aaron Rodgers went down with that injury in the first game, Zach Wilson had to step up in his place to take back over his original place as first-string quarterback. Now, he does have 1 year left on his contract, but it's likely he's going to be traded in the next few weeks. So keep an eye on him. He, like I said, faded quickly underneath the Aaron Rodgers magnet that came out. And so there is that. Baltimore Ravens in the AFC North should probably move on from Rashad Bateman, the wide receiver. He just never seemed to be in sync with Lamar Jackson, the star quarterback. And in 3 seasons, the 2021 first-round pick, y'all, has more drops than Jackson. In fact, there's about 9 of them and only 4 touchdown receptions. Last season, he only caught 60% of the passes thrown his way by Jackson, 32 out of 53, which ranked 13th on the team. But it does look like there's some little back and forth there. The Ravens may or may not move on from him. He's entering the last year of his contract as well. And if Baltimore doesn't exercise his 5th-year option, then he's going to have a great future going forward to somewhere else. And that's according to coaching staff there. Cincinnati Bengals, believe it or not, may be entertaining the idea of moving on from Joe Mixon, the running back there. Now, he did restructure his contract in 2023 to lower his cap hit. And even though he's had a productive season in the past, gaining more than 1,400 scrimmage yards, even a reduction to this cap charge of $8.5 million is probably not going to be enough of a reason for the team to keep him in their current role. And that's shocking because, Joe Mixon with Joe Burrow, who is expected to come back from injury, were a dynamic duo along with Jamar Chase for that Bengals offense. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do with Joe Mixon. Speaking of the AFC North continues, The Cleveland Browns are probably going to, or at least consider the idea of moving on from their wide receiver, Jakeem Grant Sr. They had high hopes for him when they signed him. He's a Pro Bowler for 2 years, but he just did not put up the numbers that they expected him to put up. In fact, just this year, we've seen how the Browns have kind of been up and down the entire time. He has yet to even play for Cleveland himself because he suffered back-to-back season-ending injuries. First, it was the Achilles, then it was the patella in the preseason. So he didn't even take it down in the regular season, y'all. So he's now a free agent and would figure to have better luck receiving his career in another organization. Pittsburgh Steelers wide receiver Allen Robinson II. Now, the Steelers did get an early jump on candidates that were in need to change of scenery when they got Mason Cole and even quarterback Mitchell Trubisky, the offensive tackle Okorafor, and even the punter Presley Harvin III earlier this month. But beyond that, Robinson is the next best change of scenery. So they've been moving people around already in Pittsburgh. Robinson did arrive in Pittsburgh via a trade a year ago. And so he's probably going to be looking to be moved, y'all. That's basically what I got to say on that one. He's fifth on the team in receiving yards with only 280 yards, 34 receptions, and no touchdowns. Now, he has been a mentor to younger players such as George Pickens, but with little production and a $10 million salary cap that could be saved, it's pretty much a guarantee he may be moved. AFC South, Houston, Texas, quarterback Davis Mills. I'm going to be honest, y'all. I forgot he was even a quarterback there. CJ Stroud came in, took over. The only time we saw Davis Mills was when CJ got a concussion in week 14, and Coach D'Amico Ryans started Case Keenum over Mills for 2 games, even though Mills was a 2021 third rounder and was number 2 the entire season. We didn't get a chance to see Mills actually take it down. We saw him on the sidelines. We didn't see him take it down. He's still on his rookie contract, could use a fresh start in a different situation. So hopefully he gets somewhere he can have a starting role, because right now CJ Stroud is on fire. And with them having Case Keenum down there, I don't see them putting Davis Mills as a number 2 position. The Indianapolis Colts, cornerback Kenny Moore II. It's not really a prediction, but he's scheduled to be a free agent coming up next month and will not remain with the Colts. It's not that he's not valued, but his skill set just does not come up with the Colts franchise the way they want it to be. It was not featured under Gus Bradley's defense in the same manner that it was with Matt Eberflus' system. And so the system's just not matching up with the coaching change there. He did have versatility in coverage, but unfortunately, even though he's a Pro Bowler in 2021, it's almost like what team can actually use him in that same sense going forward in 2024. Let me check and make sure I don't have any comments coming in here. All right. Hello to CJD Simone, the painkiller. Hello, hello, hello. And hello to producer Linda. What's up, lady? Watching live on Roku TV. Have a great show. Of course, as you all see on the ticker down here, Roku channel. Download Northeast Streaming Sports for sports 24/7 without the cost of cable. That's my acronym. And so hello to CJ and hello to Linda. So hi to both. And this always freezes me up. I'm almost like cannot make comments tonight. So I'll take a moment and let everything catch up as the comments are coming through. All right. The Jacksonville Jaguars, they have Rashawn Jenkins, the safety. Now, he made 2 of the Jaguars' biggest plays. He made two of their biggest plays in 2022, an offensive interception, the OT interception return for a touchdown against Dallas, and a strip sack against Tennessee that was returned for a winning touchdown. But let's be honest, y'all, sometimes it's not about those strategic plays that really count. It's about basically looking at everything as a whole. And if they release him, they think that Antonio Johnson, 5th round pick that they have, is ready to take over as a starter for Rashawn Jenkins. And if they release him, they'll save a little over $5 million against their salary cap, $9 million if they wait until June 1st to release him. The Tennessee Titans are looking at Christian Fulton, the cornerback there. The past 4 seasons that Tennessee has had him, it just does not seem like a utilizing that was successful. He's been plagued with injuries for 4 seasons. He's a talented quarterback that came to them when it was, crunch time. He had 4 interceptions and 150 tackles across 4 seasons. And even though their defensive staff is now led by Coach Denard Wilson, it's probably likely he will be moved elsewhere. So he's another one. Now we're moving over to the AFC West. The Denver Broncos, the big talk, Russell Wilson, the quarterback. Now, I've talked about this off and on for the last week on this show. Everyone that's come on has talked about this. Russell has expressed interest in staying in Denver. I honestly don't see him staying there with Sean Payton. We've seen Sean outright disrespect Russell the entire time on the sideline and made no secret of it that he, in fact, did not even want Russell to still remain on the team. Sean Payton, being offensive minded, came on the Broncos team to basically revamp their offensive, potential, and he feels like Russell Wilson is not it. Now, I'll take a sip on that. While the Broncos have said publicly that they do think Wilson is open to staying, despite that being benched, the quarterback has put his Denver house on the market. Did y'all know that? So anytime you start selling houses, that's always an eye opener. I remember when Tom Brady was about to leave New England. I saw that his house was up for sale, and I talked about it. Not only was his house up for sale, but so was his trainers. And I tried to tell some, Patriots fans I knew, but they did not want to believe me. They felt like, oh no, he's probably just selling. I'm like, him and his trainer. Anytime you start to see people put their house up for sale, they are moving, folks. They are not taking out a reverse mortgage. They are moving. They are relocating. So it looks like Denver, is going to be possibly moving on for him. Looks like Russell and Sierra Wilson are preparing for that ultimate move. Now, where Russell ends up, who knows? There's some people that thought Atlanta. They are definitely in the hunt for a quarterback. But I just told you, Justin Fields' agent has kind of peeked out there that Justin may be coming back to Atlanta. Sometimes the NFL can be one big soap opera. They like to make it just as soapy as daytime soap operas. So we got to keep an eye on this, folks. We need to see just what is going to happen with Russell. Russell said he's got 2 Super Bowls left in him. Can y'all believe that? I got a thought. What if Russell perhaps stays in Denver one more season, just enough to allow the time for Dak Prescott to end his season with Dallas, and then Russell goes to Dallas. Russell is the piece that Dallas needs. Dallas wins a Super Bowl. Put your thoughts in the chat, because I know that Cowboys Nation would absolutely go wild on that. And I really don't think that thought is far-fetched. Dak comes to Atlanta, or Dak goes wherever. And perhaps because Dallas has the weapons they need, Russell is the missing piece of that puzzle. So let me know what your thoughts are on that. All righty. So Russell is put his house up, and there's that. We'll see. Kansas City Chiefs. Now, they franchise tagged L'Jarius Sneed yesterday, a couple of days ago. He wanted money after the Super Bowl. They were like, you know what? We're giving you permission to get franchised. See what else is out there, and we'll see. So he's out there on the hook. Additionally, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Now, the Chiefs drafted him in the first round in 2020. We are now going into the 2024 season. He is still the running back of that team. But when you have the likes of Isaiah Pacheco, who comes in and takes over that position and ignites that offense, you've pretty much lost your job, Clyde. Now, when he first got drafted, Clyde had 803 yards, but he has never been a top rusher since his rookie season. In fact, every season for the last 3 years since 2022, his stats declined. And then Isaiah Pacheco comes in and has taken over the reins of that position. And everyone is like, Clyde who? Clyde Hilaire? Clyde Hiller? Jimmy G. The Las Vegas Raiders may be considering getting rid of Jimmy G, the quarterback. Now a journeyman. 49ers. New England's plan. Jimmy G. Jimmy Garoppolo. His future is definitely probably final. Now, he just got slapped with a 2-game suspension for violating the league's performance enhancing drug policy that could even void his $11.25 million base salary for 2024. Did y'all hear me? He's going to lose gangs of money for a 2-game suspension. Look at that. Even with his season ending, had he not gotten that suspension, he would at least still have that $11 million. He was benched after week 8, played only 3 snaps the rest of the season, and finished with career lows of a passer rating of 77.7 and a quarterback rating of 33.9 in seasons in which he started at least 6 games. He was the leading league person with interceptions in the league, 9 interceptions when he got benched. Did you all hear me? He led the NFL in interceptions with 9. The vet, Jimmy G. All these rookies that we saw featured in the NFL this season, and none of them had 9 interceptions, but Jimmy Garoppolo did. And now he's getting a suspension for this performance-enhancing drug stuff. All right. Erlene says, I haven't even thought of that. Yeah, Erlene. And so let me tell you guys, there's a technical issue tonight. So I can't respond by typing to your comments, but I will put them up. I'll just verbalize them. She's a Cowboys fan, so she's talking about my Dak comment. And CJ says, don't be surprised if Jimmy G ends up back in New England. Yeah, so, last night I was on a show with TGI Sports, Keith Engel, and he was talking about how Jimmy G was supposed to be, the savior of that franchise. But we'll see. Sometimes the NFL can be forgiven. We've seen Cam go back to Carolina. We've seen all kind of teams give people second chances. And so CJ is also saying it makes sense for them to bring him in and then draft a rookie quarterback. Exactly. All right, everybody, download the Roku app, Roku channel, Northeast Streaming Sports. That's the platform I am on tonight. Follow me on YouTube and all the socials at Prim and Proper Sports. Please subscribe to my YouTube. I'm up quite a few since the last week. So thanks to all the new subscribers. I have about 100 new subscribers. And so thank you guys for that. Now let's get back to this report. I wanted to make sure I got everybody's comments in here as I was, going forth with everything. But yeah. So moving along with this now. Mike Williams of the Los Angeles Chargers, the wide receiver. You guys see there's a lot of wide receivers that are up here. Now, a couple of days ago, I talked about the hot wide receivers that are up for grabs, T. Higgins being one of them. This is a wide receiver saturated free agency, draft agency. Excuse me, not draft agency, free agency. I'm thinking about the draft already. But a lot of teams need wide receivers. I mean, my Panthers are one of them. So hopefully we'll grab us a good, solid wide receiver, not one of these that I'm talking about with these injuries and stuff. Mike Williams, wide receiver, the Los Angeles Chargers. He missed the final 14 games of the last season. So guess what? He missed the whole season, basically, after tearing his left ACL. And he's now going into his last year of a 3-year, $60 million contract that he signed in 2022. Just like a lot of other teams, the Chargers are over their season salary cap, $25.55 million over. And they've already invested a first-round pick in receiver Quentin Johnston from last year, making Williams the likely candidate to be cut or traded. Either way, if they do this, it would save them $20 million in 2024 while incurring a dead money charge of $12.46 million. So it'd be, it would behoove them, as, my grandmama needs, it would behoove them to go ahead and get rid of Mike Williams. NFC trades. You guys are not going to like this next one, Cowboys fans. Nope, it's not Dak, but it's predicted that the Cowboys should move on from Michael Gallup. They signed him to a 5-year, $57.5 million deal in 2022, knowing he was coming off of a torn anterior cruciate ligament, but it has not worked out. He caught 39 passes in 2022, 34 in 2023, when his health was no longer an issue. The Cowboys are now looking for a deal that would make CeeDee Lamb one of the highest paid receivers during the offseason, and they will need to get all the cap room that they can get. So on the 5th day of the league year, $4 million of Gallup's $8.5 million base salary becomes guaranteed. So a decision on his future is going to have to be made really quick because the 5th day of the league year is coming up fast. The only tricky part is he had his first 100-yard game since the knee injury in the playoff loss to Green Bay. But it's uncertain if that's going to be enough to see if Dallas keeps them. Another name you probably do not know, the New York Giants wide receiver Paris Campbell. I mean, he only had one season with the Giants. He was really good as a slot in the slot, but his skill set is too close to Wan'Dale Robinson, now a 2022 second-round pick that the Giants were heavily invested in. Campbell went from 623 yards receiving his final year with the Colts to only 104 this past season. I see someone is out there building bricks for his new home because it is time for him to move along with that. That's a drastic drop. Philadelphia Eagles, Quez Watkins. Now, Watkins set personal best in 2021 with 43 catches for 647 yards, 15 yards per reception, okay, but has seen a dip in his snaps and production the past 2 seasons when you got the likes of Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown occupying those number 1 spots. Watkins is only 25, so he's pretty young, and he has a vertical speed that could really help with top off the defenses. But he's not consistent with playing. So Philadelphia, who had their own struggles, Quez, a member of that team also, he's now an unrestricted free agent, and he can go wherever he pleases. The Washington Commanders, no, it's not Sam Howell. It's going to be tight end Logan Thomas. Injuries and age have continued to plague his game. He's going to be 33 in July. And though he only missed a combined 4 games because of injuries the last 2 years, he's had various knee and hamstring ailments over the years that have altered his game. In the past 2 years combined, he ranks 25 among tight ends in the league for receiving yards and 21st in touchdowns. And y'all know there's 32 teams, so he is not stellar. He could help a team a little bit, but he's not worth that much. And if Washington releases him, they could save $6.5 million from their salary cap. And let's face it, Washington is in a rebuild mode. They've already now moved Dan Quinn in that coaching position. They are going to be focusing on at some point moving on from Sam Howell, and they're just trying to rejuvenate that team to a more youthful players perspective as well as physicality from that unit. So they're going to be definitely moving on from him soon in the NFC East. NFC North, Darnell Mooney, the wide receiver for the Chicago Bears. Now, when DJ Moore came in there, he practically took that man's job. When Carolina, gave Chicago DJ Moore, it was like, Darnell who? His 2023 season was a disappointment from what he used to have. He used to have 81 catches with 1,055 yards in 2021. His second year, he began to struggle before they got DJ Moore. And he was just number 2 at that position. Now he has a career low of 31 catches for only 414 yards and 1 touchdown. I don't know. He's heading towards free agency. Perhaps he may even be reunited with Matt Nagy in Kansas City. maybe that would give him the type of motivation that he needs. But Darnell Mooney, it's time for you to leave Chicago. The Detroit Lions, Levi Onwuzurike. Now he has a ton of potential, but you guys saw the Lions, how they were definitely solid playoff contenders. This defensive lineman allowed them to basically contribute to the loss that they had. The 2021 second round pick missed most of training camp as a rookie and didn't have much of an impact when he did play. He didn't suit up for a single game in 2022 while recovering from surgery on his back. He did appear in 10 regular season games this past season, but he was a healthy scratch at most. And I think we just saw him a glimpse in the playoffs. So it's time for them to move on. Detroit wants to stay solid and wants to make a playoff run again. They need to start releasing some people and bringing in some true talent. Green Bay Packers, Josh Nijman. The Packers thought highly enough of Nijman last offseason to put him as a second rounder as a restricted free agent. No one else signed him or offered him anything to give him $4.3 million for the 2023 season. So he played 69% of his offensive snaps, which was contractually required. That's the new thing they're doing now, that they are requiring you to complete a certain amount of snaps to get your money or whatever. And even in that, he played only 21% of the season. So the Packers primarily went through the 2022 seventh round pick, Rashid Walker, after David Bakhtiari, his knee was shut down following week 1. Nijman has enough solid game film to warrant him a shot somewhere else, but just not with the Packers. Minnesota Vikings, KJ Osborne, another wide receiver. He started 21 games in the past 2 seasons, but by the end of 2023, he was basically the Vikings' third receiver. His 4.7 targets game trailed both Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, both star names with that organization. And now Jefferson is up for a new contract, and he's probably going to get it. Let's be clear. And Addison is carrying the weight of the first-round pick. It's unlikely that the Vikings will have any budget left to even pay KJ. So he's probably going to remain with the free agency and will go somewhere else. Before we go to the NFC South, I want to just let you guys know, go to the Roku app, download, and follow Northeast Streaming Sports. And hello to Shapri. Hi, beautiful. Out of North Carolina, tuning in tonight. Hello, everyone. Make sure you say hello. And let me see if this will let me. Matter of fact, I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do it on my phone. I'm going to do this on my phone because for some reason, I can never, it's something going on technically that I'm not allowed to respond to any comments or anything. So I'm going to just do it real quick on here. And I apologize for any inconvenience. All right, looks like I can do it now. And then that way everybody can see it and know. All right. So back to these players that need to be moved. The NFC South, let's go ahead and grab them. My favorite division, the Atlanta Falcons. I knew it. I talked about this ad nauseum. Taylor Heinicke, it's time for you to go. Taylor Heinicke, former Carolina Panther, former Washington Commander, now the backup move to the first slot for the Atlanta Falcons in crushing times, y'all. I saw him come in to save the staggered play of Desmond Ridder. Now, Atlanta appears to committed to finding a new quarterback. And if the Falcons view Desmond Ridder as their number 2 or even their number 3, they're probably going to be moving on for Taylor Heinicke, which would save them $7 million in their salary cap for 2024. He completed now 54.4% of his passes, but it was the lowest of his career. Now, even though they got a new coaching staff, it does seem like it would make more sense on both sides unless the Falcons do not move on from Ridder. If they move on from Ridder, they can keep Heinicke as a backup option, but he'd be more expensive for them salary cap wise. So it's probably time for Taylor to move on. And I don't know where he play backup, but somebody will take him. He's a solid quarterback. I'll come back to the Panthers. New Orleans Saints, Michael Thomas. Can y'all believe it? The wide receiver is possible that he may not come back to New Orleans. He came back on a revised deal after missing most of the past 3 seasons because he then suffered a knee injury. 10 games into the season and did not return. He took shots at Derek Carr on social media, blamed a bad pass for his injury. He's turning 31 in a couple of days, like March 3rd. His contract situation and injury history and, the negativity on social media could prompt the Saints to move forward with their younger group of wideouts. Now, one thing you don't do is when there's trouble in paradise, you do not go and open the front door and let the whole neighborhood know. This is what Michael Thomas is doing. He's letting everyone know, hey, I'm taking a shot at the quarterback. You guys are the reason why I'm hurt. Oh, no, no, no. No one wants to hear that because at a minimum, you're saying now they are liable. But hey, this is the game you play. They're not liable for your injury, Michael. Michael Thomas may become one of the most coveted wide receivers if he can get healthy in the free agency. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, the report is saying Devin White, but I got one more for y'all in a minute. Frustrated by not being rewarded with a new contract, Devin White, wilding out as well, is requesting a trade. Now, he requested one last season. They didn't grant it for him. And the season was horrible for him. He played through a foot groin injury and struggled just through the entire season. And even when he was healthy, there was instances that he was out there that he just had bad liability and coverage over the past 2 seasons. One which cost the Bucs touchdowns and games. He was then replaced by a backup, KJ Britt, 2021 fifth-round draft pick. Down the stretch, the two rotated when White regained his health, but Britt played 87 defensive snaps in 2 playoff games compared to White's. So with his Week 16 interception, which was a big interception against the Jaguars, and his 4.4 second 40 speed, he could pique interest from other teams, but the consistency is going to be an issue, and Tampa is probably going to move on. The Carolina Panthers. Actually, before I get there, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers may or may not be moving on from Mike Evans. A lot of people are talking about that. A lot of people are feeling like, Mike Evans should be able to come to any other organization, and play and be stellar with it. The Panthers showed interest with him. And so it's going to be interesting to see. Baker Mayfield just got his contract renewed, and he's like, hey, I don't want to play without Mike. I want Mike to come back. But since the Panthers have some of the coaching staff in the fact that they now made Dan Canolis their head coach in Carolina, don't be surprised if Mike Evans actually makes his way to the North. All right. The Panthers are looking at Shaq Thompson again. This is not the first time they have actually entertained moving on from offensive linebacker Shaq Thompson. They're on a lot of great options for a team that would like to clear as much salary cap as possible. And Lord knows the Panthers need it because we have no draft picks. So we have to clear a salary cap to get some people in. Let's see. Shaq Thompson is scheduled to count only $6.5 million against the 2024 salary cap. And cutting him after June 1st will save only $3.5 million. He's entering his 10th season and will be turning 30 in April. Now, me as a Panthers fan, I have to plug y'all in. Shaq Thompson is one of the original Super Bowl run Shaq Thompson. I think he may be the last person standing on our team that is from that same franchise time when we had Cam, J-No, Jay Stewart, Bené Benwickery, Luke, Greg. I mean, the list goes on. Thomas Davis, when we had all those people. Shaq is probably the last of those. He's entering his 10th season. He's going to be turning 30 in April. He's also coming off of a broken fibula that limited him to only 2 games last season. Sadly, we may be moving on from Shaq Thompson, but we shall see. The NFC West, Arizona Cardinals, Rondale Moore, the wide receiver, 2021 second round pick, ran the most routes of any season of his career in 2023, but the increase did not correlate to higher production. He finished the season with career lows, 352 yards and only 40 receptions. And that made him basically have the second most targets of his career. Those he had a high number there, but he ran 181 more routes than his previous career high. But he had an imbalance, to say the least, between his routes, yards, and targets. He averaged less than a yard per route, 50% drops from last season. And he also accounted for 11.5% of the Cardinals' total targets. Other teams may be able to use Rondale Moore because of his speed and agility and his ability to take off of defenses more than what Arizona has. But Arizona will be likely moving on from him. The Los Angeles Rams, Tutu Atwell, another wide receiver. Demarcus Robinson, who recently was re-signed to a 1-year contract. So the Rams are believing in him. Surpassed Tutu's position as the number 3 receiver for the Rams at the end of last season. And the 2021 second round pick has just 1 season left on his rookie contract. His targets took a major dip. I mean, as the season went on, it just got worse and worse. In the first 4 weeks of the season, he was at 35. He went all the way down to 32 for the total. And when Los Angeles traded receiver Van Jefferson, who was in a similar situation, all the lights went off. Like, this could be a real possibility coming up. So, Tutu Atwell. 49ers, Javon Kinlaw, the defensive tackle. Now, they would welcome him from an unrestricted free agency in the 2020 number 14 pick. He was finally healthy for a full season in 2023 and had some moments in big spots, finishing with 25 tackles, 3.5 sacks, and 3 passes defense. But for him to have a chance to really flourish, he probably needs to go somewhere else. The 49ers, by them having Eric Armstead and Javon Hargrave, they kind of overshadowed him in that role. So it's best for him to go somewhere where he can actually flourish. Seattle Seahawks, Jamal Adams, a familiar name for you guys. He has, a change of injury luck, basically missing 34 out of possible 69 games, including playoffs, over his 4 seasons in Seattle. Now, he hasn't recorded a sack. Listen, he has not recorded a sack since he set the single season record for a defensive back with 9.5 in 2020. Ridiculous. Even if the Seahawks feel like they can finally get him back to, health and being strong from his 2022 torn quad tendon, and they want to see where Mike McDonald's defense can get him back to his Pro Bowl form, they're going to have to do something to lower this $26.9 million cap charge that is currently there by asking him to either take a pay cut that will lower his $16.5 million base salary, or it's going to be move along for him. So those are the moves that that everybody's on the cusp of looking at, trying to see what's going on, see just what's happening in the NFL season. During the off season, we got the draft coming up here next. Well, we're almost here, y'all. Like, really quick, the next few weeks it'll be the draft time. Looks like the Justin Fields news is going to probably come out sooner than later. It may even come out by my show on tomorrow, which is at 7 p.m. right here on Northeast Streaming Sports, Roku channel, YouTube, at Prim and Proper Sports. Follow me on there. Y'all, so I have to give you a tidbit of news. Jerry Jones has been ordered all you Cowboys fans, to participate in genetic testing. That's a DNA, y'all. So there's a 27-year-old lady who's been saying that Jerry is her dad for quite a while now, and looks like she's won the victory that will basically mandate Jerry to give up some of that dusty DNA he got. So before he leaves this earth, you're going to find out if you are the father of this grown lady. And let's be clear, why would you not want to claim her? Like, you got money for years. I don't think you can back child support her mom or anything. She's 27. Now, let's be clear, just for a little legal plug in here. The state of Georgia, if you have an open child support case and you have never collected on it, or you're collecting on it and the child, grows up, gets past 18, 19, 20, 21, whatever you decide in your order, and the full amount of the support has not been satisfied, or you've allowed your payments to get behind, then you could continue to pay on this person. Like, I know people that are paying on people that are almost my age because they did not pay. Now, I don't know about the laws in Texas or wherever this young lady lives, but the fact that she is getting genetic testing done at a minimum suggests she wants a piece of the pie when Jerry takes his final flight. So, little scandalous news there, but factual news. Jerry cheated on his wife and had a baby. Let's be clear. That's exactly what this all boils down to. All right, guys. So, what are your thoughts on all these moves around? Who do you guys think will be the ultimate quarterback for the Patriots should Mac Jones move on? What is the quarterback situation, the finale for New York? What is the quarterback suggestion for Atlanta? I know I'm posing a lot of questions, but there's a lot of teams out there that are looking for good quarterbacks. Why is Steve Wilkes still unemployed and Bill Belichick still does not have a job? Tom Brady will be announcing next season. He took over the top spot for on Fox, where Greg Olson currently is. And so Tom has been taking these classes, how to speak, what have you, on broadcasting networks. And he's going to be the officiant, the announcer, the gamesman, or what have you, when Fox kicks off NFL this fall. It's going to be interesting to see, because I personally cannot see Tom Brady in this position. Let's be honest. We've seen other quarterbacks, even star athletes, take over these positions. Ryan Clark, who just got a contract extension after a messy mix up with him. Looks like he was almost off. You see, Pat McAfee has his own show. Even Alex Smith was on the set, a little bit. We've seen Sean Payton, not as a coach, but as an analyst as well. We've seen Brandon Marshall. We've seen Drew Brees, even though we didn't see Drew super long, we saw him. And it's going to be interesting to see if these faces are going to be the permanent faces that we see when going into the analyst positions when the fall comes up. So, all right. Speaking of analysts, I did want to let you guys know Stephen A. Smith. Y'all know him. Stephen A. is always running his mouth. He's very obnoxious. He's, to me, he's a mad cowboy hater. Let's be clear. But most of the time, he's so obnoxious, he never says anything positive about anything. So a couple of days ago, he slammed LeBron James after Bronny was dropped from the mock draft. He was very negative about it. And so a few hours ago, he actually apologized to LeBron James. And he only apologized because I think by LeBron coming back with that 40-point deficit single-handedly, coming back for the 116-112 win over the Clippers last night, they were down 21 points. And thanks to LeBron, He outscored the Clippers single-handedly. In the fourth quarter, 19-16, it was the biggest fourth quarter comeback in his 21 years in the league. So to single-handedly do that, there's that. Now, Stephen A. Smith said he felt like he needed to apologize because he said that the Clippers were going to bust their A last night ahead of Wednesday's game. Although he was referring to the Lakers as a whole and not James specifically, he did want to highlight that the 39-year-old had an incredible night playing. He was quoted saying, I owe LeBron James an apology. I just do. This is what he said on First Take this morning. LeBron James was sensational to watch him in the fourth quarter, to watch him drilling those threes, to know he's in his 21st season. He's 39 years of age. I have to stand down and I have to say on national TV that he basically, his greatness was so sublime, so spectacular. I have to sit up there and pay homage and give major, major props to the one and only LeBron James. So Stephen A., who basically, said all that, he came back and said, I apologize, LeBron James. I apologize because Lord have mercy. He was something special last night. Now, let's be clear. He apologized because of LeBron's performance. He had to eat humble pie, as they say, because LeBron, did not get his A handed to him, like Stephen A. said, by the Clippers. In fact, even though it looked like it, it was the exact opposite. So let me just check and make sure there's no more sports news before I jump off of here. It's been so great having everybody on tonight, having the comments, having the love. We have just a few minutes left here. We got some big games coming up across every platform. Of course, Major League Baseball, spring training is now here. You got everything. Every sport right now has merged over. Of course, I think there was something out there about Damar Hamlin playing somewhere else. I didn't get a chance to see the full article, but Damar Hamlin possibly thinking about leaving the Buffalo Bills. That was out there. The Steelers are saying that they have full faith in Kyle Pickett. They are not ready to move on or even think about drafting another quarterback because they have full faith in him as quarterback. Quarterback Dijon has broke his leg at Iowa. This is right around the combine and trying to, get himself done with all of that. Jets, okay, Wilson to seek trade, and they're not going to be tagging Huff. And their Jets are also eyeing Harmon's come get me Chiefs talk. Like he's talking junk, basically in the Super Bowl. Now, there was one other thing I want you guys to know about this combine that is going down right now. These guys are working out and they are really blown out. There was a guy that was like 340 pounds or something like that. They talked about how he was super fast. I got to get the guy's name. Let's see. He ran the 4:40 dash or something like that. All right. So I'm talking about not Jordan Davis from 2022. This young man from this year. I'm trying to find the guy's name. It was like breaking news a while ago. They talked about how fast this young man is. And so I'll have to get it for my show tomorrow. But this guy is fast. And they talked about how he was crushing the speed. Now, the thing that really gets me is size does not always mean that somebody's going to be faster or slower. And we see that across the board all the time. So it's going to be interesting to see who comes up with where they come up. And also, there are reports out there now that they don't think Caleb Williams will be number one after all. So we will see. Tomorrow night, I will be here at 7 p.m. right here on this station. I will have the one and only Pink Fan Fur with me again. She's got to come back because we got to talk about the University of South Carolina and Dawn Staley. She is an alum of there, and she had a chance last week to see them play in person. South Cac, the number one women's basketball team right now. We'll talk a little bit about college basketball. We'll also talk about Caitlin now, who is declared for the WNBA, who will not finish out her last season in Iowa, and what impact that may have on the playoffs for next year, actually, because she's going to finish out this season. And just what that means for the WNBA as a whole. We'll talk about that. Of course, we'll talk about Panthers news. We'll talk about some more trades. And who knows, by tomorrow, Justin Fields may have already gotten him a new home. And we get a chance to see just a little bit of a more closer peek on what the Chicago Bears will be doing with their number one pick. They have plenty of options. If they don't draft a quarterback and they keep Justin Fields, they could get that number one position and sell it to another team for a couple of other veterans and other positions that they are known for. Of course, Chicago is known as a defensive team. We have not heard much of a peek out of that defense since Khalil Mack was there. And speaking of Khalil Mack, he may be up for being switched out, he and a couple of others from his squad, because Khalil Mack is just not the same Khalil we saw when he was with Chicago. Granted, we know people get older and the shelf life is so short when it comes to playing in the NFL because your body is really taking a beating. I appreciate everyone who's come on tonight. I appreciate all the comments and the love and all that good stuff. And don't forget to go to Roku app, download it. It's totally free. Look for Northeast Streaming Sports and follow them for 24/7 sports news without the cost of cable. And check all the replays out. We got plenty of shows coming on up after mine. We got the Mac and Jack show in the morning. And on Saturday, we're going to have our first tag team debate at 8 a.m. right here on this platform, right on Northeast Streaming Sports. We're going to I'm participating with some other people, and it's going to be a great time as we all have sports debates. We're going to be talking about everything from Russell Wilson, where he belongs, to our teams. What's the problem with our team? What's the best thing for our team? You do not want to miss that. Saturday, 8 a.m. on Northeast Streaming Sports and on all the socials. I'll have it aired on at Prim and Proper Sports on YouTube. Please make sure you hop over there and subscribe. And thank you guys, one and all. And good night to everybody. Good night to you, Earlene. Thank you, everybody, for joining me tonight. And with that, I will bid you all a good night.
This is Northeast Streaming Sports.